Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and in this case we're going to talk about defensive use folding knives. Is it a tactical folder that you want? Is there something else that you may consider? Maybe something else that is even better than the marketed as tactical military or police use knife. Guys, before we go on, remember that if you want to learn more about all of these things, you have the channel with a ton of information. Consider subscribing by the end of the video if you feel you've learned something here. And also my books, Surviving the Economic Collapse, based on my experience going through just that in Argentina, and Street Survival Skills, based on a lot of years of actually doing this stuff. And especially for this sort of thing, if you're interested, well, there is things you could learn in classes, or I share those in my book. Where to use, how to use these things, how to handle them, how to defend yourself. Some of the things you learn in classes on using blades for these purposes, well, I share that with you here in my books. So let's get into this. One of the things you have to figure out is that marketing is usually more about selling stuff than actual practical use and logical thinking when it comes to the design of the blade. Something sounds cool, badass, you're gonna be buying it. Well, really, as a company that is selling something, that's all I care about. Now, when you look at it from a more objective, scientific perspective, you realize that there's a little bit more to it. And the perfect example is my previous video where I talked about the most dangerous knives there are. Which are those? Well, is it any of these? No. The ones that you see people use when hurting one another, the ones you see people use when accidentally hurting one another, they're usually not even gonna be anything like this. It's gonna be more about the blade geometry that makes it more dangerous. It's gonna be about availability as well. And it just so happens that the more available knife that people have in their kitchen drawer is gonna be a steak knife, something that is very long and pointy. And that's very dangerous on itself, especially the pointy part. So let's start going here through some options. So here I have a couple of cold steel knives, right? These are both excellent knives. These are both excellent knives for utility, for self-defense, yeah. And I'm talking about here situations in which you really don't have much of a choice. You have left with no other choice but defend yourself with whatever pocket knife you have. I have this one or I have this one. Both of these are gonna be fantastic blades. They're very strong, it's a quality made knife, it is durable, it's not likely to break on you when you need it the most. The lock happens to be this triad lock that is particularly tough, but one of these is better suited than the other. This one is obviously better suited because it is more pointy, it has a broader blade, but mostly the pointy thing. Now this has a nice tip, and tanto blades penetrate quite nicely. Well, this is what samurais used to use. Well, kind of. This is more the American tanto type, but it's neither here nor there, it doesn't matter. Yes, it's gonna penetrate, but trust me, this will penetrate with a lot less effort. If we put these two against the material and we apply pressure, you're gonna require a lot less pressure here to penetrate than in this one. Why? Well, because it's just more narrow, more pointy. You feel it in the thumb when you just tap on it, and this one is a lot more likely to penetrate the skin, right? With a least amount of pressure. Either one can work, but one is better than the other. Let's go on looking at some other things. You have blades like this one, right? This is a beautiful knife. This is zero tolerance, one of the knife of the year or folder of the year. Beautiful, and the blade shape is just fantastic. It is a very nice, like general purpose, modern shaped blade. And can you use it? Yes, you can, most definitely. But it is quite broad. It is very wide. I mean, you have a nice tip here, and it will penetrate, but there are blades that will penetrate more, right? It is more of a general use, practical kind of knife, right? Which is great for a folding knife, right? That's the kind of thing you're most likely to end up using it for a number of other things besides that less likely scenario of you having to fight for your life with a knife. Now, there's the case of something like this, also from ZT, which, yeah, it's a lot more pointy. You just can tell right away. This is far better suited because it will penetrate with a lot less effort. Oh, but this is wider, so it's gonna be affecting vessels and organs a lot more. Well, yeah, but the thing is this, penetration is paramount. It's not me making shit up. It's simply the way these things go. And if you have any doubt, check what a medieval dagger actually is. Why is it that a stiletto even exists? What's the deal with stilettos? Well, it is just something that penetrates. it is super narrow. They don't care. It just wants to go in deep. And the reason for that is that cutting, just the thing of cutting, it's messy, it's very impressive, but it's really not on the same league as penetration. Penetration, the stabbing, is a lot more dangerous because you're going deeper, you're going into organs, and that's internal bleeding, and that's when things start getting really bad for someone that just got stabbed. You see this in accidents when people you get accidentally cut, right? That's okay. We all got cut one time or another. Oh, I had to get stitches. Okay, yeah, sure. But the accidental killing of someone because you just moved and that person happened to be there, that's the blade shape. This is the blade shape that does that sort of thing. The fillet knife, the stiletto, right? The thing that is super narrow and pointy. And even the things that have not been designed specific, or I mean, maybe, yeah, but this Kershaw Almar design, this is something that, as tiny as this thing is, it will have a scary amount of penetration. I can tell you right now, this little blade is freaking scary because of how pointy this thing is. It's almost like a needle, but it's not a needle. It's a knife, and it's really like it's like a dagger shape. Well, talking about dagger shaped knives, the CRKT M16. Well, it's basically going for a dagger. This is very pointy, and yeah, look at this. It could easily be a medieval. It could easily be a 1,000-year-old dagger. This is the kind of thing that people have been using for thousands of years as weapons because they go for pointy. Pointy is what you want. Well, what about when it's not really all that pointy? For example, this. This has been designed specifically to be used as a tool for self-defense. Why is it not pointy? Well, I understand that given how narrow, how short it is, they went for a pointy yet wide blade. The idea is different cuts, and with enough pressure, with enough force, yes, and given that you can apply that force because of this very nice grip in that shape and the angle, you will likely penetrate deep, but also about these things. Now, having said all of that, am I interested in a claw here? I don't know about you. I am. I like the idea. I mean, if I go with a claw like this, god damn it, yeah, this would be like a tiger claw. It would just rip and it would penetrate a lot better. It will become a little bit more fragile, but I'm okay with that, especially given that I have a little bit more material. This is interesting. I'm okay with this design. Whoever designed this, if you're watching this, I'm okay with this. I see what you're doing, and I agree. It is definitely an option. I think that this is yet another interesting option. A claw. Make a freaking claw with this thing. That's going to be ripping even better. When it comes to this sort of thing, it's going to rip even better because it's going to catch that material in a sharp blade. So yeah, these are all interesting things that you can try, figure out. And there is, I mean, even though there's different options, there is clearly one winner. And the winner is narrow, pointy, long blades that have a great deal of penetration and do, got a knife like this one, right? ZT0630, is it? Now, this is an interesting one. This is an Emerson design. This guy designed knives for Navy SEALs, and it's good. It's surprisingly pointy for how wide it is. So this is a great design. Manages to be very pointy, deceivingly pointy for how wide it is. And every time I tap this thing, I get a little bit of a scare of that thing almost went through the skin. It is scary pointy because it's so well designed. But still, it is really a kind of, yeah, you're gonna have a lot, but the narrow thing, if I had to go with one or the other, which would you go with? I know which one I would. This is even longer, but besides that point, I mean, it is very good. This is very good. I see. I mean, Emerson, the guy just knows what he's doing. This is more of a penetration tip. This is more of a tip that will just do a lot of that you need with less effort, and that's what you want. Even though this is a great option, right? Another one, a favorite of mine, the Cold Steel Vaquero. This is a great blade, designed clearly for that intended use. And you have a very wide blade, and you have a weird S-shaped blade thing. It's going to be slashing like there's no tomorrow. It's going to be great for these sort of things. If you have to, yeah, this is going to be fantastic for that. And it manages to have a super narrow tip. You don't want to get stabbed with this thing. This will have a great deal of penetration. It's thin. Look how insanely thin that thing is. That's why it penetrates so much. It is sick how well it will penetrate, but it's because it's thin. So this will likely break. Oh yeah, that tip is very likely to break against bone in your spine when you got impaled by it. Good luck with that. I'm not worried about this breaking because I still have a giant ass enormous knife, right? But yeah, this is gonna be, it compromises. This is a design in which the guy said, yeah, that could happen. If my guy, the guy that bought this thing, ends up using it against a bunch of attackers or whatnot, and that could break. He's still gonna do a shitload of damage with it. You don't want to get stabbed. This may be the knife you want to be stabbed with the least of all of the ones that you have in the table. This will do a heck of a lot of damage. That's why it's so good at it. That's why it was my option for a very long time, still is. So these are some of the things, and keep in mind what I was saying before. It's not about the marketing. It's not about, I'm telling you the tactic. This is good, but keep in mind the marketing. Many times the marketing has very little to do with the actual properties of that specific geometry. Case in point, Mora. Mora is the fruitiest, bushcraftiest, climate change dude knife ever. This is the kind of thing you see from some of the more liberal people in the community, in the knife community, the bushcrafters, the campers. Well, it is a very narrow ass blade. Let me tell you that. It's going to be penetrating and doing a lot more damage than some knives that are marketed as combat knives. Why? Because it's so pointy. This thing is insanely pointy. Doesn't look mean or anything, but hell, this is like what happens with a fillet knife, right? For cutting fish. Well, it's a pointy ass blade and accidentally can hurt someone. With this thing, accidentally or not, it is going to be something that can do a lot of damage. Maybe even more so than some badass black coated powder epoxy bullshit knife, right? That is marketed as and yet this is a Mora carpet. And just one final thought on this video. How much does it matter? Well, in some places it matters a heck of a lot. In some places, even looking mean is illegal. Case in point, what happens in UK. Oh, it's a zombie knife. Well, this knife, as you see it, perfectly legal. I painted green, I put the face of a zombie, and I write zombie killer. That's a zombie knife according to UK law. It is completely legal. Same knife without the paint, legal. Stupid? Yes. Hey, we're talking about UK here, but it happens for everyone. What I mean by this, even though it may not be legalized stupidity as in UK, even for people that don't have that law, it's gonna be the case that human nature kind of takes you there. What I mean by that is, if you find yourself in a pickle because something, he had a tactical knife, that he had a Glock knife, that's what killers, soldiers use. Oh no, he had a Mora knife. He had a Hultaforge knife. That's what carpenters have in their toolbox. Some people may be swayed by that, some people may not, but it's gonna be a little bit of a drop in that bucket, one way or the other. Guys, just a few things for you to keep in mind, trying to help you out with all these things and getting you in the right mindset here. Take care, see you next time. Have an awesome day.